A coworker once walked up to me and asked me out on a date, and while that should have been enough red flags already, the fact that she said this on her very first day at work while I was giving her the orientation in front of a few interns should have raised enough suspicion to call the cops. But being the textbook case of a delusional narcissist that I was, I found this extremely attractive and said yes to her. The date was the very next evening at 10, a little too late for a date, you might have said. That's a red flag, you might have also said. But to me, it showed how independent she was as a woman in a country like India, where daylight savings is not just a concept on time, but also a zone to freely walk around as a woman. Or maybe she wasn't afraid of any men because she was a student of the modern martial art of Krav Maga. Who knows? Could have been anything. So, the fact that she chose 10 p.m. for a date did not mean she was a red flag, just Atmanirbhar. The location of the date was an abandoned library next to a hospital, and you might have said, wait, now that's a red flag. Why would she pick a shady place instead of a cafe or a theater? And the only possible conclusion that I could arrive at was that she wanted to do some kinky stuff, like read the latest edition of the encyclopedia together. Not a red flag, just a nerd. An hour before the date, she told me to bring some flowers, a bit of cash, and a bunch of polythene bags. And you might have said, that's a red flag. But I could clearly tell what she had in mind. The flowers were to remove the stinky smell in the library, the cash was to pay the Swiggy delivery guy because he always prefers paper over invisible money, and the polythene bags were to clean up the mess after the date. Not a red flag, just a person showing mild signs of OCD. And when she arrived in a raincoat that covered her up from top to bottom, you might have asked, oh, was it raining? And I would have said no. At which point you would have said, that's a red flag. And while it wasn't raining back then, and there were no signs that it was going to rain, there was still a 50% chance that it would rain later. Not a red flag, just Bangalorean. And once we went inside, she held a knife, told me to strip down, lie on my stomach, and point at my kidneys. And you might have said, whoa, dude, that's a red flag. And sorry to break it down to you, but clearly she had the knife because she practiced Krav Maga like I suspected, told me to strip because, why not, just look at me. And the pointing at my kidneys was to check out how flexible I was. Not a red flag, just a normal episode from Splitsvilla. But then she got a call from a guy who kept shouting about her backup being late and the logistics being compromised. And that's when I ran. Because if a girl takes work calls during a date, that's a red flag. The term red flags today is so overused, you might think it has a separate country. And while that's almost true for North Korea, we need a better example of what it really means. So, I went and talked to my exes, inside my head of course. You don't need exes in real life when you're broken up with several of your split personalities in your head. And I found that, unlike red signposts, red flags do not have exhaustive examples. Like all Bumble bios, red flags come in different phrases but usually mean the same thing. Here are some of them. I'm socially awkward and a big introvert. While the attempt is to look sweet and cute, it essentially translates to she's emotionally distant and will take forever to commit. I hit the gym 6 days a week 2 times a day. Translates to I'm a narcissist showing materialistic tendencies and will try to casually impress you with my upper body strength, support and resistance in every opportunity I get. I like to trade all day. It still means the same thing, but without the upper body strength. I'm just addicted to shopping. Shopping is my guilty pleasure. Probably means she's calling you from a payphone to bail her out from getting arrested for shoplifting. I don't know what to do with my life. That's an easy one. It means he's doing B-Tech. I don't like to take any stress, bro. Taking life as it comes. He's still probably doing B-Tech. I like to travel and read books a lot. That's not a red flag, just a lie. I'm a freelance artist. It means he is jobless. And I'm so busy all the time, I have no social life and I'm drenched in work all day. Probably means she works at EY. Then there's the red flag pyramid. At the bottom tier, you have baby red flags. That is, red flags that are harmless for now but have the potential to become fully grown adults. Baby red flags like a long distance relationship, a place where 6 inches means the size of your face on her iPhone screen. Girls can't get emotional because Geo keeps crashing while she talks about her work problems, and guys can't get physical because Geo keeps crashing while downloading her one views. He doesn't remember things. While women confuse this as a signal that he doesn't care enough, that clearly isn't the case. It just means he has Alzheimer's. Ladies, brace yourself to watch your partner turn Joe Biden in a few decades. She's indecisive. This can be very annoying, so deciding to whether go out for drinks or do a movie night, have pasta or pizza, suit up or go raw, can become potential red flags if she keeps going back and forth. But none of this matters if you have no particular preference or are sterile. He has a passion for something. While this may actually feel like a green flag, it can only go two ways from here. Either he's gonna become rich and famous and leave you for a supermodel, or become a failure and end up depressed while hanging onto your bank account. Either way, that's a problem for the future. Then come the mid-tier red flags, things that are actual problems but can be solved through compromise and communication. Things like, he gets very angry easily. I don't know why ladies keep bringing this up like it's a real problem, just flash him once and he'll calm down like a puppy. She keeps talking about wanting kids someday, just make her pregnant. He has a smoking problem. make him watch Requiem for a Dream for 3 days straight. And then there are some collective problems, like a mismatch in interests and personalities. For instance, girl likes to travel, guy hates the Uber driver she keeps flirting around for a discount. Guy likes to drink, girl puked on his lap that one time she took a sip of vodka. Girl has 6-month anniversary plans, guy has weekend plans. Guy likes to ride bikes, girl keeps taking the Uber. Girl likes to talk about food, guy just eats it. Guy has no idea about the relationship problems. Girl has already made a video essay about it and is about to share it with her friends. And while these may seem tiny problems individually, imagine if this happened to a single couple. Yeah, I'm just gonna let that sink in for a while. So, yeah, in this case, there's only one way to solve the problem: get married. Now we arrive at the top tier red flags, and like it or not, it's a lot gender specific. Like, if a guy's room is messy, that's absolutely normal. In fact, it's a common hereditary disease. But if a girl's room is messy, you better run as fast as you can. If a girl paints her nails, that's cute. If a guy paints his nails, you're going to be the last female romantic partner he's ever gonna have. Similarly, if a guy is shouting and recording himself in front of a computer screen the whole night, it probably means he's streaming his CSGO on Twitch. But if a girl is making noises and recording herself in front of a computer all night, you might have to reconsider. If a girl is good at negotiating, that's normal. If a guy is good at negotiating, it likely means he's a sales rep. Beware ladies, he's going to raise your child on a packet of chips and 400 rupees of commission per day. Okay, so you might think 4 examples would seal the deal, but no. I doubled down on this and made a whole list that rhymes. I call this the Red Pyramid of Gaza. He lies too often, she cries too often, says he isn't looking for something casual, but is always too sensual. She doesn't get his jokes, but always raises his hopes. He says he's into personalities, but only likes, He wasn't adopted, but almost aborted. She said she was Indian, but got almost deported. He watches Big Boss, or she watches Roadies. They call each other Kooky Pookies. She's always on Instagram, he's always on 9gag. They've never been hit on before, but always like to brag. He often smokes weed, she only likes to read. Wait, that's not a red flag. Oh, trust me, that is. She's always in parties, he's chugging Bacardis. She's dumb as a rock for someone who's into Smarties. She's outside his league, or is way too rich. He's an asshole, or she acts like a bitch. Red flags, there are so many. Like when she asked, will you go out on a date with me? How's that a red flag, you might ask? She said that on her very first day, during the orientation class. Oh, that makes sense. So here's a solution to every red flag. Just say yes to all and hug her back.